Hey everybody, Adam here, and tonight we're going to do part 2 of our Gentoo Linux install. Last week we left off with a command line install, so you could boot up and have a command line Gentoo Linux. Well, we wanted to do graphical install next, so that's what we're going to do tonight. I worked over the past week to compile notes on how to do this since I'd never done it before, and I think I got it down to where we could get it done. I did also note emerge times, so I will, even though I will be cutting out the actual compiling, I will let you know how long each emerge that I ran took, and then you can see that this is something that actually takes a little bit of time. I also want to thank one of our users, and his name is Killistan. He made some suggestions for me to help with performance. So on the YouTube page, he mentions that I want to add the -J5 command to the make ops in the make.conf file. I looked that up, and J5 tells make that you have 5 logical cores. Well, I'm only running 4, so I think the real thing to do is a -J4. He also mentioned that when I set up my locale that it didn't take. I missed a step, so we'll go through that real quick. And there was a few other little tips. If you go to the original video, you'll see his comments are up towards the top. I think he's around the 5th comment down, and he has some great advice on installing Gentoo. So I just wanted to share that with you guys before we got started. So without further ado, let's move on forward to our Gentoo install. I already booted up, so we're at the login prompt, and the login is me. And we don't have sudo yet, so we're going to do that today too. Right now I'm just going to use regular su and into the root password, and now I'm root. So the first thing we wanted to do was to add the -J4 to etc portage make conf. And the way to find out what number to put after the J is to cat /proc cpu info pipe grep processor, and that will show you how many processors you have, and we have 4 processors, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So that's where I got the -J4. I'm not sure where Killistan got -J5. I went to the Gentoo wiki, and they did indeed say to use exactly how many processors you have. So -J4 is what I ended up adding, and you can do that by editing etc portage /make.conf, and as you can see, I did make ops equals -J4 for our make options. Oh, I did install one program off camera. I installed Vim. I got tired of using Nano. I'm not a big Nano fan. I've been using Vim and VI for as long as I've been on Linux, so I did that one behind the scenes. It took approximately 5 minutes to do an emerge space of Vim, so I'm not going to cover that one in that video, but that's the only thing that's different from when we left off, and that was just me doing that out of pure desperation. So the first thing we want to do is fix our locale. So the way we got to do that is we want to do vim etc locale.gen. Oops, is that not the right? Oh, you know what? I always type that one wrong. I don't know. I always forget the E. And then we find our English UTF-8. And we want to write it and quit. And now from here, we want to do locale gen. And that will fix. Last time, if you remember from the video, this actually came up with an error, or it didn't do anything. It just didn't say that it updated. So now we see that it's working. And now we want to install sudo. This step is optional. I recommend it. Sudo is definitely worth having on your system. So emerge sudo. And I'm going to fast forward to do this because this is approximately a 9-minute compile. Okay, we're back. So that actually went a little quicker. So I think the -J4 really helped. The last time I compiled this, I didn't have the make optimization in there, so it was getting approximately 9 minutes according to my notes. And this one compiled in about 6 to 7 minutes. I didn't time it because I didn't think I needed to, but I was watching a YouTube video that I started right about when I started this emerge, and it says 6 minutes 33 seconds. So add a few seconds while I went and got my headphones, and that's probably a good example that it was somewhere between 6.5 to 7 minutes. So the J4 definitely helped a lot. So the other thing that the user recommended, that Killistan recommended, was that we install the screen went to sleep. That we install OpenSH properly, because we did it before from a meta file, and he said that the meta files aren't exactly the real thing, and he recommended doing an emerge OpenSSH. I'm going to do this real quick. It's a 1 minute according to my notes. We'll time it. Emerge OpenSSH. And we'll see how long it takes now that I have the -J4 in there. And we're back. Okay, this compiled in 1 minute 29 seconds, where my notes showed 1 minute 41 seconds. So it made a little difference there too. Not as much, but I think because it's a smaller binary or a small package, that it probably doesn't make too much of a difference, where bigger compiles will see a bigger difference. So that'll be nice. Okay, so just to complete the sudo, did I install sudo? Yeah, to complete the sudo, I'm going to make it so that the wheel group can access sudo. So you just edit etc sudoers file, go down to wheel, and uncomment the first one. If you uncomment the second one, people in the wheel group can run sudo without a password. I don't particularly like to do that, so I just uncomment the first one. So now we can test that by logging out of root and doing sudo su-, and now I enter my password, and there we go, we got root access. So sudo is successfully installed. That should have been covered in the last video, but I was so exhausted by the end of that video that I forgot to do that step. Okay, so next we need to install the base X11 base Xorg drivers. So we do emerge --ask. This verifies that you want to install, and for some reason when I ran this without ask, it failed. So with the ask command, for some reason, with the ask option, it installed. So that's a mystery to me. Being new at Gentoo, I just am lost as to why it did that. So now anyways, we're going to do x11-base /xorg-drivers. And my notes say this is going to take 36 minutes. So we will run time with it and see what it comes out to. And we'll be right back. Oh, wait. We'll be right back after I type yes. And here we go. And we're back. So this said 37 minutes 5 seconds. My notes from my previous compile was, let's see here, 36 minutes 1 second. So we lost a minute. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so, during this compile time, I'm searching. Okay, I'm not searching for anything. I'm watching YouTube videos. And I got a pop-up that there was a reply to the last video, to the Gentoo Install Part 1. So this was from Kilistan again. This guy's been a great wealth of information. So I will pop that up on the screen real quick. Sorry for the sloppy way of doing. Oops, I meant to zoom in. The sloppy way of displaying this, but I'm kind of just doing it on the fly here. He basically said that when you are compiling from the console, that console rendering really slows down the compiling process, and compared to like an X11 terminal. So he recommending adding -- quiet to the emerges. So we're going to do that in the next few and see if that makes a big difference in the compile time. So far, I mean, a minute on that last big compile just wasn't that great of a savings. You know, that was kind of disappointing. I was hoping to see like 5-6 minutes, but whatever. So maybe the quiet command will do there. And again, a shout out to Kilistan and then a thank you, because I want to give this a try and see what happens. So the next thing we're going to install is, okay, so we just did the Xorg drivers. Now we're going to do the Xorg base servers, but this should only be a minute. Emerge. Let's run time. My notes said that the last time I did this was 1 minute 57 seconds. So emerge -- quiet X11 base / Xorg server. And let's see what that does. Notice no ask on that one this time. My notes said that I didn't need to do it on this one. Nothing scrolling on the screen, so the quiet definitely makes it more quiet. But that makes you wonder, hey, is it locked up? But you know what? These installs, these emerges of these large packages, I think anything that'll knock off a few minutes here and there is good. So the extra CPU options for make, even if it's just cutting off a minute, it's still worth it in the long run. At least I think so. But God, I think that's the big bummer about Gentoo so far, is that everything takes so darn long to compile and install. That's just, I don't know. It turns me off on it. It's actually fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I like doing this stuff. I joke that it was painful in the last video, but I do like doing this stuff, and I just preoccupy my mind with watching YouTube or reading news or reading Reddit or just doing things that I would normally do anyways if I'm not recording a video and I'm not, focused on something. Tonight I've just been watching Seth Meyers videos on YouTube. He's making fun of our beloved leader Donald Trump. Ugh. And anyway, sorry, no political stuff here, guys. Oh look, so it emerged and installing, and it did it in 1 minute 56 seconds, and the old one was 1 minute 53 seconds. No, wait. 1 minute 57 seconds. So we lost half a second. Not bad, guys. Not bad. Maybe we'll see a big difference when we emerge the display manager. We're going to do simple display manager. I tried LightDM and I couldn't get it to quite work, so I'm going to stick with simple display manager. The wiki for installing KDE and a GUI environment for Gentoo recommends simple display manager, so we'll get that one going since I know it works. And maybe in a later video we'll cover how to switch to LightDM or even GDM or KDM, whatever ones we want to use. But there's nothing wrong with using simple display manager. It's got a small footprint. But my notes do say that it took 78 minutes and 12 seconds to install this. So we will do the quiet flag on there and see what happens. So we'll run time emerge -- quiet SDDM, simple display desk. I don't know what the second D stands for, but we will go from here. Oh, my notes also said I should have run an NVN environment update. I don't know why. I didn't note why I did, but we'll just run it real quick. So, oh, it puts the libraries in place, so that makes sense. So emerge, we're going to retype that, quiet SDDM. Oh, and I want to run time, and I'll be right back, guys. And we're back. Okay, so this took 80 minutes 43 seconds. Now, I'm going to admit I was doing some video editing in the background, so that might have slowed it down, but it's definitely slower than what my notes say it should have been. So that is disappointing that the -J4 didn't make much difference. Or the -- quiet. So I don't know. Anyways, so now we have our display manager installed, and it's also our greeter. So what we need to do now is install KDE itself. But first we need to make some more edits to our make.conf file. And what we need to do is we need our CPU ID and flags to pass to make. There's a program that you need, and I don't think it comes in installed by default. I don't think anything does. It's called CPU ID to CPU I flags, and no, it's not there. So we have to add that. CPU ID to CPU flags. CPU flags. Okay, so that's installing. It should install pretty quick after our fourth try there, but it's only one package and it's done, so 7 seconds. So now we can type CPU ID to CPU flags. Oh, -x86. I obviously did not keep good notes on this part. As I was getting later into this, I was probably getting forgetful to write things down. Okay, so anyways, we run CPU info to CPU flags -x86 and then enter. And this will give us the line that we want to add to our make file. The best way to do this is to pipe it directly into there. Let's see. Portage. And then make comp. That'll put it down at the bottom. So let's see, portage, make comp. And you see we now have it on there. Okay. That will make it so that this next emerge that we need to do will actually work. And this one here, according to my notes, takes 153 minutes. So this is going to take a little while. We'll time it again. Emerge -- quiet. I don't think that's helping, Killistan, but thank you. -- quiet. KDE-frame work /plasma. And there it goes. Let's make sure this is going to go. Yes, 169 source files that it's going to have to emerge and compile and all that stuff. So this is going to be a while. So we'll be back. And we're back. This one here took approximately 1 hour and 50 minutes. So we did save a little bit of time on this because my notes showed that it was 1 hour 53 minutes. Whoop-de-doo, right? So we saved 3 minutes. Whoop. I guess that makes up for the minute we gained on the other compile. So our next thing we want to do is install an Xterm so that we can test our emerge Xterm. And this will install pretty quick. My notes show about a minute. Guess we'll keep doing the quiet. I don't know if it's making much difference. It doesn't seem to. So I'll go ahead and install that. Now when we're done, we should be able to set up SDDM as our display manager, and then we should be able to log into X, do a reboot, and then it'll load up the greeter, and we should have KDE as our desktop. But it'll be a minimal install. We won't have all the applications. So we're looking at 5 packages need to be compiled just to support Xterm. So it looks like a lot of them are fonts and a couple libraries. So I guess that's kind of normal. I guess if we had all this, once we have a lot of this stuff installed, then maybe other packages will compile quicker because the libraries will already be there, the fonts will already be there. But I want to have an Xterm in there so that we can actually make some edits once we get into X. In theory, you know, we'll see. Okay, so yeah, 1 minute 11 seconds. Last time said 1 minute 25 seconds. So we're getting some stuff, we're getting a slight performance increase in compiling. Other stuff, not so much. So it just really depends, I guess, on the application. And I read that some programs won't compile with multi-threading like that. So it makes sense that some things just won't get a performance increase from compiling with more than one core. Okay, so at this point, we need to edit our Xdm config so that we can now have a greeter, and that is at etsy conf.d/xdm, and in this file it says display manager, and this is what you would change to SDDM. In theory, if you were running LightDM, you'd put LightDM. If you were using GDM, you'd put GDM. That's where you can edit it if you want to change it later down the road, by the way. Now, we want to enable Xdm to launch at start. So RC update, since this is a sysv and not a systemd system, it still uses RC files. So RC update add Xdm to the defaults. So that puts it at all the run levels. Now, in theory, if we are lucky, and I did everything right, if I reboot right now, we will get a KDE desktop. We'll get a login screen and a KDE desktop. So let's try that and see what happens. Reboots happen really fast, so no point in fast forwarding here. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? Cross your fingers, guys. I may need to install the graphics drivers if it doesn't come up, so we will see. And there we go. We got a greeter. Oh, my dogs are barking. Sorry about that, guys. And enter my password. And I'm getting a KDE splash screen. That's a good sign, right? Let's see what happens. Come on, fingers crossed. This install went a lot smoother than my last one, but my last one I was learning a lot of stuff and learning what I needed to install to make it work. So, sorry about the barking dogs in the background. I have annoying dogs that like to sit at our window and bark at the joggers. Shell packages. All shell packages are missing. This is an installation issue. Please contact your distribution. Okay, so I think we're kind of stuck here. And what do we need? We need something called KDE Plasma Meta. I'd have to boot into single user mode, which means I have to do a shut down. And since I don't have the guest editions installed, it's going to ignore it. So we can do reset. So since this is grub, in theory, we should be able to edit and go to our first kernel and say single. Get into single user mode and hit F10. And hopefully it'll go into single user mode. Is it gonna work? Uh-oh. Shit. It's still trying to load this stupid thing up. Oh, we can go into an X session. Let's do that. That's just regular old X. That should give me... Oh, it's not going to work. Ah, we're screwed. Son of a shit. If I was in proper hardware, this wouldn't be a problem, guys. This is an issue with being in a VM and not being able to hit Control-Alt-F whatever to get to a terminal. And how come single didn't work? You know, we could also try to SSH into it. Let's try that. We'll leave it up. Actually, you know what? I need to edit the settings and give it a bridged Ethernet. Attached bridged network adapter. Okay. And then machine reset. And then I will need to go into my... I dropped my mouse pad. Go into my router to find out what IP address it gets. So you guys are going to see my desktop for a second here. New window. You guys can watch me do this, I think. God damn it. HTTP 192.168.1.1. My super secret password. Go to advanced. Yeah, I'm running a Netgear router. And we can look at somewhere around here will give us connected devices. Advanced setup. I don't log into this router very often, so no, I don't want that. I don't want that. Don't want that. Shut up. I know I don't have a USB device. Parental control, access control, block, email, administration, router logs, attached devices. So we should see a device over here. Here it is, Gentoo. So that's the IP. So just as a good lesson for you guys, if you are doing a VM, you can set up for bridged, and then it will be on your regular network, so you can get into it. 168.1.33. Yes. Yes. Okay. Let's become root. Install our last package that I forgot to do because I jumped ahead of my notes. And we will do that. And I don't have a time written down for this one. I forgot to time it. So we will try it. Emerge -- quiet -- this one says I needed ask KDE Plasma /plasma-meta. So we'll see how long this takes, guys, and I'll be back as soon as it's done. You know, I'm going to leave the screw up in here so you guys can see the type of stuff that can happen during an install, and that you can recover. Now, like I said before, the easy recovery would have been to Control-Alt-F. I don't know which one it is for Gentoo, but you hit F keys till you get a console prompt, and then log in that way, and then do your update or whatever you need to do. That would be the typical hardware type fix. But since this is in a VM, it's not that simple. So knowing that I had already installed SSH to launch, all I had to do was give it an IP address on my network, and boom, I could get in, and that saved the day. So this is going to be installing 61 packages, and I do believe that this will fix our error that we got when we tried to log in before. So I don't know if we'll have to reboot or not. Probably not. It seems to me that we would just need to log in because it'll reload everything for the session at that time. Okay, so I'm going to walk away and fast forward through this from this point on. Okay, so we're back, and here we have a total time of 35 minutes. That sounds about right according to my timer on my recording software. So at this point, we should be able to just log in, and it should work because now it should find everything. So we'll go back to this screen and log in. And now, no, it's, oh wait, I saw it set for X session, so we want to go back to Plasma. And I didn't install Wayland, so we don't want to do Wayland, that's for sure. Now, in theory, we shouldn't get that error. There we go, we got a KDE desktop. Ta-da! That is a full working system. So now, at this point, you'll want to do is, depending on your hardware, is find out what video drivers you need and go to the Gentoo wiki and read up on how to install the driver. I can't cover every driver install, but I will install the driver for, oh god, that's horrible color. You know what, I'm going to do it from the terminal we had because that is so much easier to see. I will install the driver for VirtualBox. And according to my notes, that takes about 8 minutes to install. So, emerge quiet app emulation /VirtualBox guest editions. VirtualBox guest editions app emulation. So this should take about 8 minutes. We'll run time on that one to see. And I'll be right back. Oh, it failed. I must have made a typo. So, oh yeah, 1 hyphen there. Emulation /VirtualBox guest editions. Wait, what did I do? Oh, you know what? I think that hyphen is supposed to be there. Sorry, guys. It's been a long install. Okay, so in about 8 minutes, we should have a desktop environment that actually works. So after I install this, I will reboot because it'll load in some kernel modules. So see you in a few. Okay, so we're back. And we had that take about 9 minutes 4.4 seconds, so that's a little longer than what my notes show from the last time. So who knows what why we're having such differences all over the board. But either way, now I need to reboot the virtual machine so that the drivers can take effect. And if everything went right, we should have full screen and everything should be good. So we're going to go ahead and reboot. I'll move my terminal out of the way for those of you who like to see the reboot screens. I know, I do actually. For some reason, I like this stuff that pops up here. It's just eye candy for me, I guess. I know a lot of the other distros do a graphical splash screen here, but oh, see, full screen. So that's a good sign, guys. So now we can log in. We should have a full screen desktop for KDE. And that's pretty much it for the install. At this point, it's just a matter of installing applications that you want to use. We won't have much installed here now because the nice thing about Gentoo is you don't get any bloat. So like if I go to applications and internet, I don't even think I have a browser. I have something for setting up wireless internet. So if we wanted to install, say, Firefox, we could do that. My notes say that it actually will install pretty fast. So we'll get Xterm, because even console's not installed yet. Oh, see, I can't even make that bigger. I hate Xterm. It's so generic. More actions. Let's see. Resize. Oh, that's not going to resize the font. Anyways, you'll have to trust that I'm typing some. I'll try to zoom. So emerge ask www-client/firefox-bin. I have not checked to see if Chrome or Chromium are there, but I'm pretty sure they are. Go ahead and allow it. And you know what? I didn't run sudo, but it installed anyways. So is that good or bad? Let's see if it installed. Applications, internet. No, I don't think it installed. I need to run sudo here, guys. Sudo. Enter my password. Now it's asking me if I want to install. And this should go pretty fast because this is a binary, so it's not going to compile. It's basically just going to download the binary. You can download the source, but I chose binary just for speed in this case. And I guess that there are packages out there where you can either do a compile or binary. This is one of them. And there we go. Now, when we go up here, we should see under applications, under internet, Firefox. Ta-da! And it failed. Try again. Do we not have? Oh, that's weird. Let's see if we can pull up the page. Doesn't like my fraudum.com certificate. Add exception, confirm. And there we go. We now have a working web browser. So at this point, it's a matter of finding out which packages you want to install and installing them and sitting through the compiles, or in the case of this Firefox, sit through the install. So here's my final thoughts. Gentoo Linux is its own unique beast. It's more for the hardcore user who likes to compile their own code, likes to work under the hood and optimize things to the most pristine position they can get it in, or condition. And I honestly like it. This is something that if I had more time and wasn't always stressed for time, I would probably run this, because I do like to compile stuff. I like being able to get into the nitty-gritty and really just customizing my system just down to the bare bones of what I want. I mean, this install here, all it is KDE desktop and a browser. That's really bare minimal. A little bloated for bare minimal. I mean, if we really wanted to go bare minimal, we could have did FVWM window manager, which is what I did on another machine. But I wanted to do a fairly modern desktop. That's why I chose KDE. And this is KDE Plasma 5.8. So who would I recommend this to? Nobody, really. I mean, sadly, if someone was a hardcore user and liked to compile, then yeah, I would recommend it. Or maybe for a student who wants to learn how a Linux distro really works and wants to understand about compiling and what programs interact with what programs and how things all work, that would probably be good. So maybe like a CS major or something. But I don't know if I'd recommend it as a daily driver, because think about it. Every time you need to update, it's going to recompile everything. New kernel release, that was one of the longer compiles. It's going to want to recompile everything. KDE updates, that was the longest compile. If you add up all the packages it wanted, it's going to want to probably redo all those too. So, I mean, you could, in theory, just trying to update your system, have 3 hours downtime or more. So, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to have that much downtime, that much time looking at compiling text across the screen? What if things fail? I had things fail on my first few tries until I finally figured out the right sequence to install things. The Gentoo wiki is okay. Nowhere near as good as Arch's wiki, in my opinion. But it did get me through some of the humps that I ran into. And if you run this and you want to install other applications, then I recommend checking out the Gentoo wiki. There's a great cheat sheet for Gentoo emerge commands, and I'll post that in the link below. I'll post the link to the Gentoo wiki page that told me about the J command, the -J4 that I did, and how it talks about that you shouldn't do total logical CPUs +1, which Killistan recommended. Sorry, man, but I found documentation that said that's not the way to do it, and that's why I dropped mine down to 4. That's supposed to be the best optimization for compiling on systems, whether it's virtual or physical. I would recommend, if you are a longtime Linux user and you just want to experience this, then you can follow everything I did here, and it will install on a VirtualBox virtual machine without any problem. And you'll have a working Gentoo that you can play around with and see if this is an environment you want to run. Run it in full screen. It'll feel like a native install at that point, maybe a little slow. You can, if you're not going to run anything else in your host, you can give it all your CPUs and all your RAM if you want, and then it'll probably run pretty slick, with the exception of, the graphical interface, because, it's not going to address the hardware directly. It'll be emulated. So that's kind of my opinion on it. I like it. I think it's cool. It tickles my inner geek, and I think that if you're the type of person that likes to really get into the nitty gritty, this is probably the distro for you. Yeah, that's where it stands. So I hope you enjoyed this video and the previous one. If you haven't watched the previous one, hopefully you did, because some of the stuff may not have made sense unless you watched the part 1. But if you liked it, enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks a lot. Take care.